You typically know us as Superflex nerds, but we're going to do some 1QB rookie content today.
Because you asked.
Because you asked for it. So if you like 1QB content, do two things right now to show your support, and we'll keep doing these. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. You do those two things, and we see enough support, we will continue to do some 1QB content for you, even though we are Superflex nerds typically. We're going to talk about 1QB rookie rankings today. It is really interesting to rank these guys in 1QB leagues after you've done Superflex leagues, because there are some things that change. But let's start in the S tier here, and let's start with Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, I don't think there's any rookie behind Marvin Harrison Jr. that I'd be taking over him. Not Neighbors, Odunze, Egbuka, Bowers, none of them. So I think he deserves to be in his own tier, in the S tier here. Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously hyper productive at Ohio State, was the best wide receiver in college football this year, won the Biletnikoff Award, and is the son of Marvin Harrison, whom I had his jersey when I was a 5-year-old lad. So I'm a big fan. He is one of the better wide receiver prospects to come out in, it really maybe the last 10, 15 years is what people are saying, because he's projected to go in the top 3 of the NFL draft. So in these one quarterback leagues, Marvin Harrison Jr. is instantly going to be a first-round pick in startup drafts. And so because of that, I think he's worthy of going 101 in every single league. I don't think this is going to change from now until draft time. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a certified stud.
And in the A tier here, we're going to have Malik Neighbors. Not a knock against him as a talent. We think he is absolutely incredible, absolutely amazing. If he were in any other class, he'd be the bona fide top wide receiver prospect in that class. He just happens to be in the same one as Marvin Harrison Jr., which, I guess that means we're lucky, fortunate for all those who have, like a top 3, top 4 rookie pick this year, because if you don't land Marvin Harrison, you get Malik Neighbors, and that's a pretty nice consolation prize, because he has a ridiculous ceiling, and he's been absolutely hyper productive at LSU his sophomore and junior seasons. At this point, what more is there to say about the guy? I mean, he's been... there's an argument that he has the highest ceiling of any of these wide receivers, including Marvin Harrison Jr.
Correct.
Now, I think there's more room for him to fall than Marvin Harrison Jr., which is why he's going to be in the A tier, but he's absolutely incredible. We love him, and that's why he's going to be alone in the A tier.
For me, this year in 1QB leagues, there are 2 tiers at the top, like we have them here. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. in his own tier. So you have the 101 and then the 102 in its own tier. And then the 103 through 105 is going to be the next tier. And it's going to feature these 3 guys, at least right now. Rome Odunze is a solid wide receiver prospect, and he is projected to go in the probably mid first round of the NFL draft. So that's going to give him some solid value insulation. It's going to give him probably a decent landing spot as well. So we are very excited about Odunze as a prospect. He was hyper productive at Washington with Michael Penix in that electric Washington offense this year. I'll be very excited to see where he ends up in the NFL, but he is a very good receiver, as is Emeka Egbuka, who is being shorted by a lot of the Dynasty community right now. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. We still think he is a fairly safe prospect. So with Egbuka, I think he suffered a little bit from not great quarterback play this year at Ohio State. I mean, there was a reason Ohio State had some weaknesses this year, and I think quarterback was one of them. And I think Egbuka took the brunt of that, and there wasn't really enough elite passing game for him to benefit as much as Marvin Harrison Jr. So we like Egbuka. We think he's a safe prospect. We think that he's well-rounded. We think he has a fairly high floor. So whether you want to take Odunze or Egbuka, doesn't really matter to us. They're both good prospects, and we're going to assume this is tight end premium league as well, and we're going to take Brock Bowers here next in these rankings. Brock Bowers, everybody knows him. Tight end out of Georgia. Baby Gronk, just like everybody.
Why is everybody always a baby Gronk?
Everybody's always a baby
Gronk.
One. You're baby Gronk.
I guess I'm baby Gronk.
Brock Bowers, since he was a freshman at Georgia, has been tearing it up, and he has been a highly touted NFL draft prospect for years now. This is the year he finally comes out. He's probably going to get top 10, top 15 NFL draft capital. And when he does, again, assuming tight end premium league here in your 1QB leagues, he is going to be a hot commodity. And in my opinion, I think he's right away a top 6 dynasty tight end. That's my opinion. A lot of people last year would have been like, yeah, duh. But now that we've seen Sam Laporta and now we've seen Dalton Kincaid, people are like, I guess they're lower on Brock Bowers now. I don't know. But is Brock Bowers going to do what Sam Laporta did his freshman year? Maybe. It's obviously that's not likely, but Brock Bowers is capable. Brock Bowers is good, guys. He is athletic. He is big. He is very, very talented. And honestly, I see a lot of upside with Brock Bowers right away.
He can translate as a receiver in the NFL right away. We can talk about what he does in the pass blocking, run blocking game as a different thing as a tight end. That may take a while for him to develop, but I mean, anyone who drafts him is going to want to utilize him as a weapon in the passing game right off the bat.
Similar to Kincaid, similar to Laporta, both guys who have been used.
Pitt's first year.
Yeah,
so,
and Bowers is considered a better prospect than Kincaid and Laporta. That's what people don't get, I don't think, is that he really is. He's projected a higher prospect than those guys were. So if those guys did as well as they did their freshman year, their first year in the NFL, I would expect Brock Bowers to be as good of a player as them, if not better.
Yeah. And we're going to drop down a tier here to the C tier. We're going to start out with Xavier Worthy. I understand there are people that are lower on Xavier Worthy than we currently are. We are not sold on the narrative that Xavier Worthy isn't going to do great in the NFL, that Xavier Worthy is too small. We have done this time and time and time and time again over the last 2 to 3 years. And if we've learned anything from Tank Dell, if we've learned anything from Josh Downs, if we've learned anything from any of these receivers of recent who are very undersized and have translated to the NFL, we have learned that these guys can be successful if they are good route runners, if they are fast, if they have good hands, and if they can, football. So Xavier Worthy can football, and he's been doing it for a bit at Texas now. And it's been a nice situation. Quinn Ewers is a decent college quarterback. I'm all in on Xavier Worthy, man. I'm excited to see where he goes in this NFL draft. I do believe personally that he has late first round draft capital upside. Does that mean he'll go there? No, that's why he's a tier below these other guys. We're going to go Travion Henderson next, right after Xavier Worthy. He is the running back 1 in this class. And that's a huge if, he ends up declaring for the NFL. I think it makes more sense at this point in time for Henderson and really any running back prospect to go back for one more year, because they'll make more money in college than they will in the NFL for the next 4 seasons because of those rookie deals, because he won't be drafted until like the second round. He's not going to get a big rookie contract there. So my personal opinion is that Travion Henderson, who's already been rumored to return to Ohio State, will go back to Ohio State. We're including him in these rankings because we got crapped on for not including him in our Superflex rankings a week ago. Yeah. So fine, we'll throw him back on there, but don't be upset and don't be mad when he goes back to Ohio State. Keon Coleman is the wide receiver out of Florida State. He's a big body guy, 6'4". He really has, in my opinion, the ability to potentially be like that X-wide receiver in the NFL who can do everything. Can he translate? I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what his draft capital ends up being. I do think he has incredible upside if he can translate to the NFL. Troy Franklin's going to be at the tail end of this tier along with Brian Thomas. Troy Franklin, obviously the wide receiver 1 for Oregon. Maybe he's a product of a really, really good situation with Bo Nix being one of the best quarterbacks in college football this season. I think that his talent is transcending of that situation and that he could end up honestly moving up these boards in future mock drafts once we see, his combine numbers and once we start to hear a little bit more buzz around these names. Troy Franklin, very productive at Oregon. We're very excited to see what he does in the future. Brian Thomas as well. He played behind Malik Neighbors at LSU. He had over 1,000 receiving yards this season as a wide receiver too. So could he translate as a true wide receiver 1 in the future in the NFL? I think there's a possibility. There's a lot that's yet to be seen, but if we've learned anything from college football in the last 3 to 4 seasons, it's that you can have multiple hyper-productive wide receivers in the same offense, and both of them get very good draft capital. See Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Both of them.
After that, there is, in our opinion, a very, very large teardrop in skill position players, from Brian Thomas to these running backs that could go anywhere from the 2nd to 3rd to 4th round, and then to the receivers with more question marks. So in between these prospects, we're going to slot the QBs in here, because these QBs, honestly, I can't see myself taking these QBs over any of the 10 guys we've already mentioned in 1 QB leagues. However, each of them possesses upside for different reasons. Caleb Williams, probably going to be the 101. Probably the best prospect in the draft. That's some upside, I think. And honestly, he is going to be probably the safest quarterback prospect. But in 1 QB, a lot of times you're really aiming for upside. You're really aiming for ceiling. And so Jaden Daniels is going to be right here with him for this, because Jaden Daniels right now, he is projected to be a first-round pick. He just won the Heisman. He is a very hot name. If he does get first-round draft capital, In a 1 QB league, I mean, I might be tempted to take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams here because I am going for that rushing upside, and he absolutely has it. Drake May is also very safe, and Drake May,
he's like the perfect in between.
Is the perfect in between in our opinion. He does have, I mean, he can move a little bit, and he does have a little bit of rushing upside, but he's also going to get very high draft capital. He's also safer than Jaden Daniels. But again, going for upside, you're going to want Jaden Daniels. Drake May is going to be on here as well. And again, between these two levels of prospects, we're just going to put the QBs in here because you're not taking the QBs probably over any of the guys we mentioned above, but you're pretty comfortably taking them if you need a QB on your team above the guys that we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah, and Braylon Allen is going to be at the top of that F tier, the running back out of Wisconsin who's been very productive the last couple of years. We'll say this time and time again that he hasn't necessarily showcased like incredible receiving upside in college. That doesn't mean it's not necessarily there. We've seen this in the past with Wisconsin running backs where they do showcase that they do have receiving upside once they get to the NFL, and the Wisconsin style of offense just doesn't utilize the running backs in that way. So you kind of just have to take a shot on that ability. And I think Braylon Allen could potentially showcase that in the future. We think overall he's probably the most well-rounded running back outside of Travion Henderson in this class. But there's a big teardrop, obviously, between Travion and these guys. Audric Esime is going to be that next guy, the running back out of Notre Dame. Same type of profile as Braylon Allen, in my personal opinion, where he's really the last guy in this running back class that could really take on a true 3-down workload in the NFL. What does that mean now in a landscape that's changing? Changing?
It's a changing landscape?
But I think Esteve is absolutely capable of doing that,
great.
Given the opportunity in the NFL. The biggest question is he going to get that opportunity? We don't really know. I think Braylon Allen and Estime are really kind of a 1A, 1B selection here. You could really choose between the two of those, and I'd be fine whichever one you decided to pick over the other. I know we are going to go with Braylon Allen right now, though, at the top. Will Shipley is going to be our next guy. He's honestly like the complete opposite skill set-wise compared to Esime and Braylon Allen. He's that guy that we really think has the capability of really heading up this new type of running back in the NFL where he can have receiving upside out of the backfield, be that check down option for maybe your like game manager type QB in the NFL, and maybe they could work him out of the slot if they can really, work that into a skill set in the NFL as well. To me, Will Shipley screams Sean Payton. I would love to see him go to Denver. I think he would thrive in that situation. That is way down the line, way down the road, though. We have yet to see what draft capital he gets, what he tests out as at the combine. I mean, there's a chance that Will Shipley is one of those guys that just falls to irrelevancy. Like, we really, really don't know yet. But we still like him in his skill set for the NFL. Trey Benson, kind of that last guy in Florida State, who maybe he could take on a bell cow workload. I think it's less sure than like an Audric Esime or Braylon Allen, which is why he's going to be at the tail end of this tier. He got a lot of buzz after his sophomore season. Going into 2023, he kind of underexceeded expectations. He underperformed expectations.
Changing.
It's bad. He just underperformed expectations this season overall. So he's a good running back, though, in my personal opinion. So we'll see where he goes. Draft capital is going to depend on where he ends up falling ultimately.
Draft capital is key for all these guys.
And then Jatavian Sanders at the end of this tier. He's really, at this point, in our opinion, the bona fide tight end 2 in this class. How much is that really saying? Not very much, because this isn't nearly as deep of a tight end class as it was last season, where you had a Kincaid, a Laporta, a Musgrave, a Darnell Washington, who else am I missing? I'm missing one other guy.
I know. I don't remember who it is.
Bro.
Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer. Duh.
Yeah.
So Jatavion Sanders is going to be that second guy. After Sanders, it's total dart throws. You're probably not going to see any tight ends go into like the late 3rd, 4th round in rookie drafts.
And then the G tier here, we're going to start with Bo Nix. Again, 1 quarterback league, but Bo Nix. Bo. Game manager, in our opinion. He's a game manager type of quarterback.
That's not an insult.
No, it's a type of quarterback that you see having a lot of success in today's NFL.
Yes.
A lot of success.
Yes.
He's going to have some upside. He's going to be a safe pick, and you're going to get him a lot cheaper than the other quarterbacks. I consider him a fairly good pick at this price. Jalen McMillan played alongside Rome Odunze at Washington this year and had a fairly productive season. Again, this is going to be more of those wait and see. Is he a product of that Washington high-octane offense, or is he going to be a good NFL prospect? Draft capital will tell on that one. Bucky Irving is another guy I'm really waiting to see the draft capital on. Had a fairly good season at Oregon. He has some question marks in his game, in his profile, but if he does get draft capital, I mean, look, any of these running backs in the F and G tier, F and G tier. It's the F and G tier. Any of these running backs, like it's going to be draft capital dependent. So we really just don't know. We don't think any of these guys are going to jump way up, but we're just guessing at this point, as is everybody else you talk to. Adonai Mitchell played alongside Xavier Worthy this year at Texas. He started his career at Georgia. He was a hot Devy pick. I drafted him in a Devy league, actually, and didn't really do a lot at Georgia. Had a really good season at Texas this year, playing with Quinn Ewers, playing with Xavier Worthy. So it will be interesting to see if he gets first round, second round draft capital in the NFL. I have seen a couple. I did see a mock draft with him in the first round, and I'm like, I'm not sure about that one, but it would be interesting. And then Malachi Corley is going to be the last guy. We mentioned him in one of our Superflex videos. And again, a guy we just have on our radar because he was a highly productive guy at a very good football program in Western Kentucky. And honestly, those high production guys have become more successful in the NFL, and their hit rate has increased recently more than we ever thought it would. So we have to keep an eye on those guys. He's just a guy right now that's kind of sneaking into our rankings, a guy that we're keeping on our radar, so to say. But those are our 1QB Dynasty rankings for the rookie class of 2024. Our first set, by the way. So don't hold us to this. This is all going to be very fluid. You could argue any of these guys anywhere on this list, and we probably wouldn't argue back with you because this is number one. This is opinion right now. We don't have combine numbers. We don't have draft capital. Those are our two biggest things when we're ranking rookies. So right now we're going off what we've seen, where they're projected, what NFL mock drafts are saying, and we're going to rank these guys. But again, if you enjoyed the 1QB content, do us two things. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Those things show that you really enjoyed this video, and we'll keep putting out content like this if we have enough 1QB viewers. We're really going to see. I'm going to look at the likes and the subscribers gained on this video, and I'm going to see how many 1QB people are actually out there. We've not done 1QB content before, so if we get a ton of support on this video, we will put out 1QB content. We are for the people, by the people, for the people. Dynasty Domain. See you later.